Hi, it's time for the I Tell You What Data Dive. Our final installment. We've swum in so much data, Dana.
And you have swamped people with data.
We probably should have had a Dana dive, but that's okay. That can be about dogs.
Next cycle.
4 years from now. Okay, so what we want to talk about this time is how basically Donald Trump won, and that was with some substantial changes in two key demographic groups in the upper Midwest. And these are what we would call the old Northwest states. Some people might, and Tippecanoe and Tyler too. So let's look. Here are white voters without college degrees in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin. These are states that were three of those states were part of the blue wall that hadn't been Republican in a very long time, and then Ohio, the swing state. But if you look here at white voters without college degrees, going for the Republican candidate by 63% compared to 55% in the previous time. So this is Donald Trump's coalition, and these are individuals who, in substantial numbers, voted for Barack Obama at least once and then voted for Donald Trump. And we saw it in individual counties, especially in Michigan and especially in Pennsylvania, where you had 20 and 25-point turnarounds from Democrat to Republican. So think about that. Now, the other thing that happens in these states, of course, is that they are urban centers with large African-American populations surrounded by states that are overwhelmingly white. You have a state that without those major city centers, you're talking about states that are 90% white, and then you put in the big city, like Detroit, for example, and things change. Look at how big that change can be. When you look at Michigan and Trump's performance there, you can attribute a lot of that to the 95% of the black vote that went for Obama there compared to 92% for Hillary Clinton. It wasn't that the Republican in 2016 did a lot better with black voters. It was just that they failed to either
show up
or voted for Jill Stein.
I want to ask you about that because there is some talk on the Twitters.
Yeah.
About Jill Stein and some feelings by liberals or Democrats that Jill Stein actually took so many votes from Clinton in some of those close races that she was the difference maker.
She was a difference maker for Hillary Clinton. I don't know that it actually affected the outcome of the election in these states, and I don't want to presuppose.
Yeah.
But I will say she was the candidate of Harambe. She embraced Harambe. She was
your kind of gal.
She was anti-vaccine. She said that she repeated the pernicious and damaging lie about vaccines.
There's somebody else in the race who thought that.
But he changed his tune on that. But I guess my point is that she captured some of the Trump energy of the
left.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also think it's important to note that, and I think this is true, Dana, I don't think anyone has ever seen Harambe and Stirewalt in the same place
That's true.
at the same time.
That's true. I don't like bananas, but that's true.
How can you not like bananas? There's no meat in a banana?
No, there's no meat.
You can't kill a banana?
You can't put barbecue sauce on it?
There's no meat in a banana, number one. But number two, a banana is fine in unto itself as an emergency food. But the problem with a banana is you put banana with anything else, everything tastes like a banana. It just has an overwhelming, banana oil is overwhelming and disgusting.
But what stuck out to you, Josh, in terms of the breakout? Because it is such a different map than what we've seen in the last three elections.
Well, I think we really underestimated how historic Obama's margins were with African Americans. And that's the stunning thing in the exit poll data is what you just showed, that actually Trump did better than Mitt Romney in all the big battleground states with African Americans. Now, it's only by a little bit, but there were some precincts, I remember, in Philadelphia and some of the urban areas, got 0 votes. Romney got 0 votes. Even at the margins, it makes a difference in a close race like Pennsylvania and Michigan. And this is a real worry for the Democratic Party going forward, because you may see going forward, if Trump is popular or was able to get his favorability up a little bit as president, the African American vote could tip a little bit more, not overwhelmingly so, but it could be a big difference. You know who must be
frustrated right now is Joe Biden, because he has been agitating for the Democrats for years to pay attention to the white working class, and they missed it.
They did miss it, and if you look at the map and you see all the red in these states, you can see the Democrats just lost any connectivity, the base Democrats in those states lost any connectivity to their national party leaders in Washington, D.C. This is after 8 years of Barack Obama, who maintains pretty good ratings, and they like him personally, but the policies coming out of the Obama administration really alienated a lot of registered Democrats in the middle of the country. They feel like they just don't have anything in common with the values of the Democrats in Washington, as they knew the values of Democrats growing up, and that came home to roost on election day.
A buddy of mine from Kentucky that he's the most conservative person I know. And I said, "You're so conservative. Why aren't you a registered Democrat?" And he was from Campbell County, Kentucky. And he said the only two people I knew growing up who were Republicans were Mr. Peanut and the Monopoly Man. But Charles, the Democratic Party, and we talked about this on the podcast with Rue Teixeira's book about the emerging Democratic majority, Democrats made a decision after the 2004 election that rising numbers of Hispanic voters and transition of the electorate from the north to the south was the way that was their future. It seems almost as if they intentionally chose against blue-collar voters and not just disagreeing with them, but rejecting them on global warming and coal, on gun control, on gay rights and gay marriage and all these issues. It seems like they intentionally didn't want them there.
Yeah, and I think that this election is a great comeuppance for all the people that, and the media does it, and politicians do it, the professional politicians do it, where they try to slice and dice the electorate into race. They want to tailor messages to different races about different things. I've always found it disgusting. I think it's the most deplorable thing out there. And what we learned from this was actually Donald Trump actually had a message. You may not have liked it. It might have been delivered kind of in a coarse way, but he had a message. And you know what? Yeah, Hispanic voters and black voters, actually, it appealed to some of them.
Can I ask you, Josh, about the future? Looking into the crystal ball of 2 years from now, when you have 25 red state Democrats who will be up for re-election, how do the Democrats get themselves together to be able to withstand a popular Donald Trump, assuming he's popular 2 years from now? I mean, we could be looking at a very different Congress even.
This really limits the influence of the progressives like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, because Chuck Schumer is going to be looking at a liberal caucus, but he's going to be looking at these 5 or 6 Democrats in red states that Trump won by double digits, and he can't move too far to the left, or else Republicans could be staring at a 54 or 55 seat majority in a couple of years if Trump plays his cards right, and if Schumer has to worry about that very angry liberal base that it wants to get some of their policy preferences enacted. It's not going to happen, but it's really going to be a very ugly divide within the Democratic Party. We thought it was on the Republican side. Now that the Democrats are out of power, it's going to be pretty ugly on their side.
Can I ask you something, Scott, too, that in those the blue wall states, there were no big Senate races, no big governor's races. There wasn't a lot of reason for Hillary Clinton to go and visit those states. She spent a ton of time in New Hampshire and North Carolina and Florida trying to help those guys. And I think in some of the postmortems they're thinking, why didn't she go up there a little bit more often?
Yeah, they just misjudged how in danger those states really were, and they never really understood that they didn't have much connectivity with the base Democrats they needed in places like Wisconsin and Michigan and Ohio. I mean, they were campaigning in Ohio even at the very end of the race thinking that it was in play, and of course it was a wide margin that they lost that by.
A humiliation. A lot, not quite, but a bunch.
Oh,